Okay, it's awfully late. Uh, Hello, hi Monique. Good to see you as always. Oh, I should take my mask off. Yes. Okay, it's a bit of a solemn topic today. We'll wait for about, I guess, 10 people, and I'll just talk briefly about what's happened tonight. Well, today actually. Whoever can guess what I'm drinking, you get a prize. Maybe you get a prize. Oh, hello, Mika. Are you Mika from Austria? Is that XYG Mika or XYG Mina? I have no clue. Well, say hi, say hi. Yeah, I guess we'll just wait for a few more people and the Mika. Oh, it's the Mika from Austria. From Austria, is that the one? I think that's the one. Hello and hi, Mark. Good to see you. I haven't seen you much in group chat. Like, have you been all right? Like, I know you're doing the huge Thanksgiving thing for homeless people and all that. That was really awesome. So Mark, one of the TJ admins, was working really hard to make sandwiches. I think some of you may have seen his live stream. Yeah, really, really amazing. He's got a heart of gold. Hello, Jean. Hello, hello. Oh, Mika is the one from Austria. That's the one. You have won the Twice book, and I have good news to tell you because the Twice book has just arrived in my mail. So it's gonna be mailed out to you very soon. So congrats. Hi, Wing. The Mika, yeah. Hello, K-pop all content. I'm not sure who you are. Hi, San San. Oh, we played Among Us before. That was really long ago then. Hello, Blue and Nabong and Nadine. I think, yeah, I recognize you from past streams. So thanks all for tuning in. I know it's really late. I'm not sure where it is what time it is in your country, but it's midnight over here. And I just thought I'd do a very brief talk because there's a bit of misinformation going around with Chung Ha testing positive for COVID, and then Sana received a test as well, and subsequently all the members all got tested, and thankfully we all know that they have tested negative. And just a bit of information, I guess, so about COVID in general, and also about what quarantine means and what lockdown means, because there's a bit of a difference in the definitions. So first and foremost, we know Chung Ha tested positive. I think just a few days ago, last week, there are two members of Everglow, I think, that tested positive as well. And I know a lot of us were praying for Twice to test negative as well. And of course, we're very thankful that has come to pass. But I mean, to be fair, if they've not been directly exposed, their risk is low. Yeah, Yiren and Sihyun, yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So I think Chung Ha, I think she released some statement that I think she kind of bowed down and apologized for testing positive. But I think the truth is she could have known that she was exposed, because the truth is a lot of COVID-19 patients are actually asymptomatic or experience this very mild symptoms. So it's even if they were, I mean, in the worst case scenario, which is why I tweeted today, even if Twice or Sana or the rest of the members tested positive, it's not necessarily going to be very terrible. I mean, in terms of symptoms, like they probably may not experience anything. They have to go out. They have to essentially be in quarantine until the duration of the illness is over, and then be tested again. Once they get, I think, 2 consecutive negative results, they are fit to go back out. And even if they do get some symptoms, it's mostly mild in the vast majority of COVID-19 patients. I think someone did reply to my tweet saying that there's such a thing called prolonged COVID, and that is true. I think increasingly we are seeing more and more cases of people who have suffered COVID and initially had very mild symptoms, but subsequently had very long-lasting effects like loss of smell, chronic fatigue, brain fog, like all these things. And that is increasingly a phenomenon that is coming to light. And I think doctors in the hospitals who are seeing these cases are still doing their research on these long-term symptoms. So while that is a valid concern, it has typically bigger risks for those who have pre-existing conditions. And also, as with most cases of pneumonia, the elderly are the ones that can be very adversely affected. Although, yes, the thing about COVID is a bit different. It causes a lot of nasty effects, even in young people who are seemingly healthy. I think in the US, they've reported cases of very young people, like seemingly healthy athletes even, who have been intubated and required a very prolonged treatment. So it's not a disease that we fully understand yet, and I fully understand that there are many concerns about what if twice were to get a positive result for COVID, what does that mean? And the truth is, a large majority of people who test positive for COVID actually have mild to no symptoms, and a very minor few do get that long COVID, but that's not, by and large, the majority of cases. So with that out of the way, I mean, we all know that twice thus far have tested negative for their first test. So I think when the result came out, I think Misa was the first to post, and after that I saw a lot of big accounts who started tweeting about, let the rest of the members quarantine, let them rest as well. Why should they be on schedule? Because there's a wave of infection going on. They should just quarantine anyway. So I think it's a misconception between what quarantine means and lockdown. So quarantine refers to people who have been significantly exposed or at risk, who are kept isolated. And the reason is to protect those whom they may come in contact with. It's not to protect them. So in the context of this, Chung Ha, who has tested positive, has to go for quarantine because there's a risk of her potentially infecting her staff and makeup artists and the producers and all the managers that work with her. So hence, she has to be quarantined. And for Sana, that makes sense because she was directly exposed. She was in close contact with Chung Ha, who was the positive case. And as such, she has to self-quarantine for another 10 more days. That makes sense. But the members do not have to quarantine because they have direct contact with a suspect case. In this case, that was Sana. And Sana has tested negative. So it's kind of like, if you think about it, it's a second-degree contact. As a result, they do not have to quarantine. If, however, a lockdown happens, so if you have been following the news in South Korea, the number of cases has been climbing. So I think the news report today was saying that over yesterday, there was over 600 cases. And for the last week consecutively, there have been many days where it's been more than 600 community transmitted cases. So that is pretty significant. And we're seeing more and more artists and celebrities who are testing positive. So that is, of course, very concerning. So if South Korea does eventually go into lockdown, of course, all the members will be forced to stay put. But until then, they will not be under quarantine because they have not been proven to have been exposed to a positive case. And of course, they are at low risk. So just to give a kind of a case study or something real that's actually happened in Singapore. So in Singapore, I had a friend whose father had so I think Monique would know, in Hong Kong, I think Mahjong is quite popular, right? So my friend's father actually had a Mahjong session with, I think, quite a few other people. Like, it was a fairly big room of about 20 people. I think there were different tables, they played Mahjong. And his dad happened to be in that room where there was a positive case. So that case later, there was a guy who in that room who came down eventually with flu symptoms and tested positive. And so his dad, even though he had somewhat fleeting contact because he's considered elderly, he was sent for a test and also was quarantined. And eventually, he tested negative. And after he fulfilled the quarantine, he could go out again. So remember, the quarantine is to protect the members of the public from a known positive case or a case that has had significant exposure to a positive case. If you have not had proven exposure or yet a low risk for being infected, you generally will not be placed under quarantine because it doesn't make any economic sense. So in Singapore, for instance, this is pretty much the same protocol that the government has undertaken so that those of us who have not been exposed will continue to go to work unless we exhibit symptoms, and then we'll go get our test done. So as for what self-quarantine actually means, I'm not entirely sure. So it would definitely mean that she has to be apart from the other members. So I'm not sure whether there's an alternative language arrangement, whether it's going to be a temporary holding place or it's going to be at another facility. I'm not entirely sure, but it would mean that she would have to be separate from the other members, and they would not have any direct contact for at least the next 10 days. So I don't know, like, it's all of big accounts tweeting that, oh, just let Twice rest. They shouldn't be put at risk. They should just quarantine. So there's a bit of I mean, I get where this is coming from, that we want to, ensure that Twice's health is being protected and prioritized. So rest assured that, of course, if South Korea goes into lockdown, there's going to be, JYP will be forced to comply with all the government measures, and regards to the upcoming schedules, all the music shows will likely be cancelled. I'm sure the government is also following the trend, and it's a very worrying trend. They already ordered the closure of cafes and whatnot, and I think nightclubs and pubs have been forced to close already. So I think looking at the numbers, showing no signs of flattening, a lockdown is going to be inevitable. So if it's locked down, then obviously the members will be forced to stay put, and all schedules will be cancelled until further notice. But it's one thing to call for a lockdown, and it's quite another thing to say quarantine them where there's no definite risk, and stop them from doing activities. And the wanting Twice to get rest argument doesn't seem very valid this year. Remember that they are first and foremost artists, they're entertainers, they live to do concerts, record albums, put out new material for us. And I would say this year has put a lot of their plans on hold. They want so badly to express themselves, and there's so much to give and so much to offer. So I don't necessarily think they have been overworked. Of course, some would say maybe Jonghyun's mental health struggles are related to them, having to work on multiple projects in what has been a very trying pandemic year. But we have no proof of that. So, if the schedules are still ongoing and the country of South Korea has not announced a lockdown, I don't think it's fair to say JYP is to be blamed for letting them go on their schedules, because epidemiologically and across nations, that seems to be the protocol. So it's not, something that's totally out of the norm that is being done. If you have exposure to a known positive case, you will be called for self-quarantine, regardless of whether you have symptoms. If you test negative the first time, depending on the country, they may or may not do a retest. If, let's say, you have symptoms that develop later on, you may be called for a retest. I'm not sure whether Sana's going to get a retest in about 5 to 7 days, but it might happen. But for now, she's the one that will have to self-quarantine because of the direct exposure, and she's at highest risk. But for the members who had, just exposed to Sana, and she's been negative so far, they will not have to quarantine. They can continue, unless, of course, the country goes in lockdown. So I hope everyone gets this clear, because there's a bit of a misconception online. People are, saying stuff like JYP is, exploiting their artists again, not letting them rest. And I'm like, there's no proof of JYP doing that, because the country hasn't called for lockdown yet. Music shows for now are still ongoing. All schedules, if they're adhering to the safe distancing guidelines, can still continue unless the situation changes. So just hope everyone gets the rationale for doing this. It's not that JYP is being negligent or being flippant about safety, but it's just that. So I'm just going to take some time to read some of the comments. It could be in a room. Although I don't think that's very feasible, because I think self-quarantine does imply that she cannot basically meet up with the rest of the members, meaning that even meal times in Singapore, I think we had a time where quarantine means you have to stay put in a room and be confined to the room. You can't even go out to have meals with the fellow members, or even go out to use the toilet. By right, you can't do that. So I'm not sure whether it's feasible altogether. So it might be a different facility where it's just completely separate. She may have to be alone, but I trust that Sana will just rest and recuperate, and I guess she might do a V Live because she might get bored. And above all, I just hope she stays healthy, and the 10 days will pass by uneventfully. She'll be negative if there's a repeat testing that's required, and she'll stay healthy. That's about it. So mahjong groups, it's cramped. Sometimes the ventilation is not great. My friend's dad was tested because I think he's about in his 60s. And there was, of course, a risk that he might contract COVID, and it could potentially lead to severe disease. But thankfully, of course, even with the exposure, he was negative and he didn't develop any symptoms. So he could go back to work after the quarantine was over. So I don't know how long this wave is going to be. It's looking quite bad in certain nations compared to others. In the US, it's looking pretty bad still. In Japan, in Korea, it's looking pretty bad. Singapore is kind of flattening, but we are getting a few community transmitted cases because I guess there are still a few people out there who are just bending the rules and just going for their gatherings and paying no heed to the guidelines for 5 people. And this is the reason why community spread will still happen, because people take this lightly and they think COVID is over. I'll tell you that the wave is not over. We are not done with COVID probably until mid next year, or even worse, the end of next year. It's going to be a global phenomenon. We are not going to expect things to pick up all that quickly. Jane, it's hard to tell because it really depends on the viral load and also the immunity of the person involved. And of course, if you have any comorbid conditions like diabetes or heart disease, your risk of getting severe disease is much higher. So if your contact is generally fleeting, in Singapore, that's defined as less than 30 minutes and no one's wearing any protective gear like mask or staying at a good distance of at least a meter away, the risk is much higher. So sustained contact more than 30 minutes, if people are not wearing masks and there's a lot of potential droplet and saliva being spilled through talking or singing and all that, that's going to put you at a much higher risk. But if it's a very fleeting contact, if let's say you pass by someone that was positive for COVID and you didn't spend any time talking to the person or touching that person or not having any sustained contact with the person, your risk of contracting COVID is very low. So remember that a virus needs some time to spread. It can't just spread from a fleeting moment, like you just pass someone and you both of you are wearing masks and you said hello to the person. Very likely you're not going to get COVID, unless of course you had sustained contact, you're talking, you're singing, you were not wearing a mask at the time, you touched hands and you didn't sanitize your hands beforehand, etc. That puts you at a much higher risk. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the vast majority of cases of COVID are asymptomatic or very mild cases. Only a small proportion develop a full-blown pneumonia that requires ventilator support. And from what the studies have shown, they actually do need a very long time to come off the ventilator, if at all. And sometimes they can't even get off the ventilator. And of course, they succumb to COVID and die. So we can't take this lightly. I really do think that COVID is here to stay. I mean, of course, the vaccine is being rolled out. Hopefully, there are no complications and we can get the vaccine underway and hopefully it stays effective. I think they've gone through the initial trial phases, but we, of course, wouldn't know about side effects until it's being in mass use. So hopefully it gives, it lives up to its promise of, providing that protection for the vulnerable groups. And hopefully that can help a lot of the key industries return to business, especially, look at tourism, look at airlines. It's going to bust, So those people who are talking about quarantine, talking about quarantining even those that haven't been exposed, I don't think they know what they're talking about because they're not working. They're probably not working. They don't understand the huge economic and financial burden that it is when the whole country goes into lockdown. You know how much Singapore lost? You know how much our airlines lost during that few months where we were essentially grounded, no air travel at all? It's huge. So you cannot underestimate the cost of a lockdown. If even asymptomatic people who have only been exposed to, let's say, a suspect case and they can't go to work, no one goes for work, everyone takes a medical leave, nothing can function. All your small businesses are going to suffer. Already F&B is suffering. So many places are suffering. Jobs are being lost. Livelihoods are being lost. We can't afford a long-term lockdown. That's not a viable strategy, as a lot of countries have shown. But of course, in South Korea's case right now, it's a bit different because cases are still climbing. In the US, of course, we are seeing cases still climbing because, again, people are not paying heed to all the instructions. I think some of you had mentioned also that in Philippines, it's still a lockdown and economy is horrendous and people are really suffering the after effects of that. So it is not a viable strategy at all. Like you would know that. So the community, all of us, we have to be vigilant. Of course, South Korea, I think they have to start really thinking hard. The authorities have to really think about whether it's wise to do a formal lockdown. I think in New Zealand or Australia, they actually did a lockdown for a full 1 month period, and they actually managed to get a negative, community transmission rate after a good 28 days, breaking the chain of transmission. So it is doable, but everyone has to play their part. So in the context of TWICE, I think it's tough because we're in December and it is the year-end award show season. it's going to be very hard. There's so many award shows coming up, and I guess the organizers, they don't want to lose their profits and money, right? But I think safety is still the top priority. So if the government does issue a lockdown, I think all the award shows are all gonna have to be postponed to further notice. Maybe do it over Zoom or whatnot. But I really think it's not necessary. Chester mentioned correctly. Taiwan has done it. New Zealand has done it. It's definitely possible. So I think people are just lulled into a false sense of security. If things are not so bad, they'll say, "Oh, okay, I think it's free now. We can just flout the rules and go for our large gatherings. Let's not wear a mask if we don't feel like it." And it's really not the way to go. I keep cautioning my patients. I say, "Look, things are looking better, but we're not out of the woods yet. We really cannot risk a second lockdown. We really cannot risk, just one case, because it's usually not the patients that have COVID, and it's not usually not them that have the most severe cases. But if they spread it to the vulnerable groups like the elderly, and they take it back to their families, they take it back to their homes, and those people get infected, and they are the ones that suffer and could potentially die from this. It's as serious as it gets. Like, you hear the horror stories of the early days in Italy and in the US when hospitals were getting overwhelmed, not enough ICU beds. They had to decide who had to get a ventilator and who couldn't. It's horrendous. It's like the dark ages of medicine. Like, doctors are powerless, nurses are powerless to deal with it. So it's not gonna be something that we treat lightly. We have to deal with COVID with caution. So yeah, I trust that JYP Entertainment will comply with all the government measures and of course prioritize Twice's safety. Sana I'm sure she'll comply with the self quarantine, and the members, I think, can continue unless of course they develop any symptoms, or of course if Sana subsequently tests positive. So we all have to think about weighing the pros and cons of keeping everyone locked down. It's just not going to be feasible. And for Twice, they live to make music, to entertain, to go for events, and their creativity is what drives them. And I think to say that they stop all schedules even when there's no direct risk to them, that's not also being very prudent. I think not taking into consideration what they do for a living and what they want to do. So it's always a fine balance between safety and the potential losses financially and economically, and also opportunity costs, which is a huge thing if you lose it now. I mean, already 2020 is considered a wasted year for many. So of course, I hope the situation improves next year. And of course, if the country goes on lockdown, they have no choice but to comply. And I hope all the members stay safe. Yeah. So I think that's all I'm going to say about COVID. That's all I'm going to say about Twice and the whole COVID situation. They've tested negative the first time. I'm sure they'll comply with any further testing. Sana, I'm sure, will comply with the quarantine. I hope they all stay healthy. They're all young. I don't think they have any pre-existing health problems. They should do fine. And even if they should test positive, there's a good chance that they will all ride over it with very minimal symptoms. So do not worry. Even if we hear of that, and of course we wish Chung Ha and the members of Everglow a speedy recovery. I hope they don't have very major symptoms as well, that they don't have to be hospitalized or face any breathing problems or get pneumonia. I just hope they have a very mild course and recover well, and be back to doing what they love. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So on a lighter note, I'm just going to take a sip of my drink. Can anyone guess what this is? Like, I'll give a prize to whoever gets it. It's really good. Is there a glass thingy behind you? Yeah, it's a glass panel. Yeah, that's my study area, actually. Yeah, milk. You are very innocent, yeah. But no, this is not milk. Nope, it's not barley. Oh, yay! Nadine! You got it. It's perfect. It's exactly what she says it is. It is soju and Yakult. So it's very easy to make. So if you have soju, like just half a cup of soju and about 1.5 to 2 bottles of Yakult, and you have a drink, and it's really nice. I just got a bottle of apple flavored soju today, so this is my chill drink. Yeah, Kirana, that's exactly what I was trying to address, because I think that's not the issue. When they insisted that all members do quarantine, they are not thinking straight, because that's not the protocol in a lot of countries. And even if they were to cite South Korea having rising cases, the country doesn't even issue a lockdown. So why quarantine? There's no good reason to quarantine because that's not required. So unfortunately, there'll be ones, especially I'm seeing some big accounts actually, like who are saying, you should just support Twice members not going for their schedules and all that. I'm like, look, they have to work too. We all have to work. Like in Singapore, our economy is still going. We're still working. I'm seeing patients every day. I'm technically at high risk, but I'm not being exposed to a positive case. I'm still working every day. Look, it's a fine balance, as I always say. So not everything's just so one-sided, like wanting Twice to rest, wanting Twice to be safe. Yeah, that's all well and good, but you must understand what goes behind the word quarantine. Like, if you've been exposed, yeah, and if you're at high risk, I can fully understand it. But if you're not being exposed and Sana was only a suspect case and Sana is negative, like, come on, there's no reason to isolate the rest of the 7 members. They can go for their shoots or their rehearsals and whatnot. I mean, come on, they have a job to do. So come on, like it's not right. Yeah. So don't worry about all those big accounts. Just because you're a big account or just because you have influence or clout doesn't necessarily mean your viewpoints are right. So I do have to give a bit of a medical and I guess a governance kind of perspective to this. There's nothing wrong with what JYP Entertainment is doing. So just hope you can understand. I mean, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I know you have Twice's best interest at heart. So if you're one of those who wants Twice to stay put, I can understand that, and that's warranted if South Korea goes on lockdown. But if they're not on lockdown yet, and if the economy is still running, it's like any other job. They would still have to go for their schedules. I would probably advise against music shows because it's a large gathering. It's very hard to ensure that there's barrier nursing and people are isolated and kept in groups. It's much harder to enforce that. But if it's just that group by themselves going for their shoots and their rehearsals, it's probably a bit more understandable. They can still go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, it's Soju and Yakult. Yes, Chester, you answered correctly, but Nadine answered correctly first. Yeah, so it's Soju and apple soju and Yakult. How's it taste? It tastes really good. Like it's got that sweetness and a bit of slight sourness from Yakult, and it's got the apple flavor from the soju, which is really nice. Like, wait, how many of you can drink? Like, are you all legal age? Like, if there's anyone that's a minor here, like, I don't want to tell you to drink. Like, if you're, I think, 16 and below, like, please ignore me. Like, I'm drinking milk, okay? For those who are minors, I'm drinking milk. You should have been drinking until you're, like, of age, okay? If you're legal, it's fine. That's okay. And, of course, don't drink and drive. Like, of course, never, ever do that. Hi, Joan. Nice to see you. Joan Valerio, I think I recognize you from past tweets as well. Why is it forbidden, Teiko? Like, forbidden by law or forbidden by your religion or something like that? Yeah, Jean, I think you are a minor, so no drinking for you yet. Kirana, yeah, soju and Yakult is great. Oh, Nabong, you're turning 18. Are you going to get a driver's license? I hope you are. Monique, you should be getting a driver's license. You're in uni, right? So you should be able to. Not your business says you're not a minor, but you can't drink. Like, you're allergic to alcohol, or like you just don't like the taste. I mean, it's always, I guess, with everything, it's in moderation. So don't drink too much. It's bad for your liver. I always tell my patients that. But a drink once in a while to unwind and with caution is always okay. Angel sometimes drink. Yeah, as an employee, I think there are some drinking functions and all that. Yeah, water is good. Water is always good. Soju, Yakult, and Sprite. Yeah, that's not bad. I like doing soju with this thing called Kalpis soda. I'm not sure if you know what that is, but it's a Japanese yogurt drink and it's fizzy. So it's got that bit of gas in it. It's more fun. In Singapore, the legal age for drinking, I think, is 18. I could be wrong. Like, the Singaporeans, please correct me. I can't remember, but I think it's 18. But I think most people get their first drink because at an earlier age, and yeah, it's kind of like a rite of passage kind of thing. I think I had my first drink when I was like 17 or 18, so thereabout. Tuba. Isn't tuba an instrument? It's a coconut wine from the Philippines. Wow. But can I get it overseas? Oh, it's 18. Okay, yeah. So, Jeong Yoni, thanks for making sure I'm correct. Yeah, I don't want to spout wrong or fake news here. So yeah, 18 years old is the legal age for alcohol in Singapore. Also the age where you can get your driver's license. It's a bit annoying to drive to uni. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of paperwork there. So, what's an Emperador? That sounds like a hard liquor. I'm not very adventurous. I'm more of a gin and tonic kind of person. I do like an occasional. I'm not a big whiskey fan. I guess I don't mind it. I love my beer. I love my soju. I love my sake. I'm just not a very big whiskey fan. I don't really like the smokiness of it. Like, I don't understand it for now. But I'm a gin and tonic kind of guy. I love Roku gin with a bit of ginger or a bit of yuzu juice and just put a bit of tonic water. It's great for a nightcap. So, but yeah, for tonight it's soju and Yakult. Okay, so I'm just gonna put on some music because wait, I promised I wouldn't keep this long. So, what's the difference between whiskey and wine? I don't know the exact process, but wine is very different from whiskey. Very, very, very different. Wine is like essentially grapes and it's fermented. Whiskey, I think they distill the alcohol and they put them in like barrels, and it acquires that smoky taste. So the taste profile is very different. And yeah, whiskey definitely has a higher alcohol content. It's often drunk on the rocks, whereas wine, you could drink whiskey like flat as well, but you could take that with ice for certain whiskeys, and then for wine, you never ever drink it with ice. It's always at room temperature or slightly chilled. Yeah, so yeah, that's fermented grape. Not really rotten. I mean, like that's not quite the right word to use because you kind of it's fermented grapes. Yeah, whiskey is much higher. That can really knock you out. Emperador is brandy. All right, brandy. Oh, that's a sweeter kind of wine. Sweeter kind of alcohol, I guess. Yeah, wine's typically around 14%. Soju is about 15 to 16%, I think. Yeah, whiskey is much higher, like 30%. What are the benefits of drinking some alcohol? Well, I didn't expect to do more of medical talk, but I could do a bit more. Red wine has been shown in moderate amounts to improve cardiovascular health. Like, I think it helps for your small arteries, your coronary arteries. So there's proof that drinking red wine does help your heart. But as with other kinds of alcohol, it has to be drunk with caution because it's processed in your liver. So the liver, if it goes in overdrive, if you're treating it with a lot of alcohol, your liver can harden and you can go to liver failure if you're not careful. So that's why alcoholics have a very bad liver. And oftentimes, it can be reversed the moment you stop alcohol. So the benefits for red wine, heart health, it's pretty good. And, well, I guess there's some benefits in terms of focus and sleep, I guess, at small amounts. Yeah, I have no idea, Marcus. I have no idea why it's become an alcohol discussion, but yeah, I will try tequila someday, I guess. I'm not very adventurous, like I said. The only alcohol I ever tried was a birthday cake that contains alcohol. What? Oh, like that's probably rum, I guess. Like that's very often used in cakes. What cakes have I had that alcohol? I guess some chocolate cake can contain a bit of vodka, maybe. Or tiramisu definitely contains. Yeah, tiramisu contains Baileys. It's coffee liquor. So I like it when they have that bit of liquor hit. Like good tiramisu has that. Oh, rum and raisin ice cream is like my brother's favorite. It's not my favorite flavor though. I'm a very boring kind of guy. I like strawberry and I like chocolate. That's about it. Pai Guwang. Pai Guwang is the only time I've had alcohol. Huh? Pai Guwang doesn't have alcohol, does it? Like, isn't it just sweet and sour sauce? Like, by the way, for those who don't understand Chinese, Pai Guwang is like this pork rib dish that Chinese usually eat. It's like sweet and sour sauce with that. I mean, I think you may have had a version that uses champagne or something, but that's pretty interesting. I never knew Pai Kuang had alcohol in it. Like most of the ones I have are just sweet and sour sauce, and yeah, it's pretty good. But I've had a champagne version, but it's not a lot. Four Leaves, oh yeah. I think some of the cakes do have alcohol, yeah. So yeah, okay. We're gonna talk about some more lighthearted matters. So I'm gonna play what's that song? Cry for Me. Yes. What am I saying? So I'm gonna play a bit of Cry for Me. Yeah, you're right. Pai Kuang is a bit like picking ribs. What's that? Oh yeah, Cry for Me. Yeah, okay. Let's just listen for a while. Hi Claudine and hi Eric. Yeah, 新歌真的很好听啊！我觉得它的旋律很搭，这是 Twice 的新风格，but really really good. I'm just gonna enjoy it too because it's such a bop. Time to get the guitar. Cry for Me. Wow. Like that was some mind-blowing performance. Like I mean those of you who know I was at a wedding dinner. My brother-in-law was married on Sunday, and as a result I didn't really get to watch much of Mama, but I did manage to catch Twice when they did Cry for Me. And that ending part, yeah, when Che did that Die for Me at the last part, like that's wow. I mean, like there's that part where she kind of arcs backwards, just killed me. Like just totally killed me. I think what Twice did at Mama 2020, I think is really amazing. I mean, haters gonna hate, NTs are gonna be NTs, but for them to drop a brand new song at Mama 2020 at an awards show, a brand new song just as a gift for once, and to challenge a totally different genre. It's a sound that we've never really heard before. Like I can't really describe it. It's very reminiscent. I guess one of my TJ Admin's Ring put it very well. It reminds me of like older generation K-pop songs, like a very strong groove to it, very catchy chord progression. The hook is very addictive. The synth beats, electronic beats are very very. It's a bit retro, but it's also got new elements in it. And Twice nail it. I mean, like they nail every single concept that they do. So I think it's irrelevant to talk about what genres they can or cannot do. Like, I mean, just talk about 2018. They did What Is Love, right? And then there was Fancy in 2019. There was Feel Special. There was More and More. There's I Can't Stop Me. And within I Can't Stop Me itself, there was songs like Handle It. There was songs like Say Something, that city pop vibe. Like, and you've got Cry For Me, which is like, and if you look at the lyrics, it's a song about, I think, being in a failed relationship, like things are not working out, and it's almost like the party that they're singing that song is wanting revenge, like of some sort, but at the same time, all that party really wants is for the other person to shed a tear for the relationship falling apart, or at the end of it to die for me. Like, I don't know whether it really means literally to die, like I hope you die, like as part of revenge, but or like it's I wish you would lay down your life for me, like that you would love me to that extent. Like, it's a song about love that just doesn't come together, like the expectations just don't come together. It's a song about disappointment. It's a song about revenge. It's a song about when the relationship turns sour. It's so good. Like, it's a very dark side of Twice, I would say. Like, but at the same time, it's also very in character with what they're doing. I think it's very in line with the evolution. Like, I think, I mean, when Peter says, it sounds like Wonder Girls Nobody. Yeah, a little bit. I get what you mean, because the progression is very similar. For me, actually, I mean, I'm not sure how many of you are oldies fans, but it actually reminds me of a song by I think it was Mr. Big that covered it before. It's called Wild World. Who baby, baby, it's a wild world. Like, do you know that song? Like, the chords at the start are very, very similar. Especially the chorus. Like, if I were to sing a melody line for that song, it's like. Baby, I love you. If you wanna leave, take good care. Things out there. Yeah, that song. Yeah, it reminds me a lot because it's very similar. Yeah. So Hot. Yeah, I think it's got a lot of influences. But at the same time, it stands alone by itself. Like, and I mean, look at the demand for it. Like, right after the ceremony, like, it was top on the Melon searches. Like, everyone wanted to know whether it was a cover. I think some people told me it was a cover of Ariana Grande. I was like, really? Like, I have no idea. Like, okay. But apparently it was fake news. Yeah, because Ariana Grande has a similar song with I think lyrics that are similar, but it's not the same song at all. And I think I think a lot of you agree with me that it sounds like a very second gen kind of K-pop group. Like, but Twice admitted their own. I love that I heard Jonghyun. Like, I think one of the first things I heard when I first listened, I was like, whoa, that is Jonghyun's vocals, like in the first line of the chorus. I love it. I love it. Like, I mean, I just feel like we haven't seen Jonghyun in so long. Like, and we forget just how good a singer she is. Like, her vocals. Like, I mean, just even today, like, on the way back, I was listening to Love Line, and her. I think there's one part in the last chorus where she sings that chorus, and it's so good. Like, Jonghyun is. I mean, I really miss her. Like, and to hear her vocals on Cry For Me, and she does get quite a good chunk of it to show off her vocals. Like, it's so good. Like, I'm so glad to hear from her. Like, yeah. So, yeah, we are getting a release, pre-release, and of course we're glad that JYP Entertainment has heard us. Of course, they wouldn't pass up on such a move, right? And it's great that they are doing it. We are getting it soon. I don't know when, but we are really looking forward to it. We might get an MV, like, with that Apple. Maybe it's a link to More and More as well. We have no idea, but I think the only thing I have to say is Twice can no longer be limited by genre. Like, those who still say they can only do cute stuff, can only do like aegyo stuff, cutesy, bright songs, they clearly don't know Twice of 2019. They don't know Twice of 2020. Twice have shown again and again that they can pull off any genre. They can whack it out of the park. And I think, with their second full album, like with Eyes Wide Open, they've already, shattered all expectations. They've just gone beyond already. It's really not about genres anymore. They've transcended genres. And Cry For Me is just them going and showing the world, look, this is what we can do. Like, we're no longer going to care what people think about us. We're just going to go out with it. And JYP, stop thinking that Twice can only do certain things or that they only fit certain songs or certain colors for their vocals. Come on, they can do so much more. So please let them have some free reign. They can do so much more, and we can't help but look forward to Cry For Me and how they're gonna go in their future direction in their songwriting and in their song composition. Is gonna be amazing. Yeah, they're just so versatile. I agree with you, Nabong. Like, they're just so versatile. They nail every concept, and not just the visuals part, but in terms of like the genres and how their voices. Yeah, I mean Jihyo has such great vocals in here. Mina has great lines in here. Cheong has amazing lines in here. Like, I think Sana had some killer part. Like, I remember that killer part that she had. Everyone just shines here. Like, and Twice deserves this. I mean, that's what they deserve. They deserve this kind of promotions. They deserve this kind of gems. Like, stop pigeonholing them and stop saying that they can only do a certain type of song, because that's clearly too far from the truth. They can do so much. So, yeah, Jihyo, Jonghyun, Nayeon, of course, the vocal line. I've always thought very highly about Mina's vocals. I love Cheong's vocals. I think Sana has a really clear voice. Tsiui, yeah, I need to mention Tsiui. I think Tsiui is really stable. I think we saw her practice video in Twice TV3, I think, for I Can't Stop Me. And it's so good, like her when she's doing that practice with Momo. And I think Momo is just a bit unfortunate. She actually has a very stable vocal at the right pitch. Like, I think she's just forced to sing out of range a lot of the time. And she's a very decent rapper. So I just think she doesn't get enough credit. And, a lot of people just think of her as a dancer. But Momo is actually really good. Sana is, of course, really, really good. I was just listening to her vocals in Say Yes from What Is Love album. And Sana's vocals there are really soft and soothing. I love it so much. Yeah, I mean, when you say Twice can't sing, like, I always ask them, have you been listening to the right songs, or have you just been listening to the encore video, that one same encore video you keep bringing up because you have no other videos to bring up? Like, look at all the videos of Twice singing live, like, and I'm sure you'll find one where they can sing. Like, everyone has improved. Everyone is improving and is getting better. The vocal line is so stable. Like, I'm gonna say one thing about Jihyo. I mean, because Jihyo is my bias, and yeah, Jihyo's acting last night, like that bite of that apple, like, wow, like that's just hot, man. Like, I mean, and then she did that hair sweeping back thing. I was like, I was just dead on the floor, like, totally dead. I needed CPR, like, just amazing. Like, that's just Jihyo for you. I mean, we know Jihyo can do that. So, wow. And yeah, Momo actually, like I said, like, she just doesn't get enough credit, like, for her voice, but she actually sounds really good in quite a few places. And I think Few Special was one of them. I really like the vocals there. I love the vocals in What Is Love. Yeah, Che, I think, had a bit of rap line. Yeah, in the first pre-chorus leading to into the chorus, I think she did have a line there. Che is very stable. I love Che's vocals because I think they've got an edge to them. Like, I always say that her opening notes in Someone Like Me, I always say that's safe K-pop because that's just so good. Like, just the like that was enough. Like, that's just enough. That's how good she was. So yeah, I mean, yeah, and Jihyo has been amazing. I think Eyes Wide Open has shown her vocal range, and not just a vocal range. I think the reason why Jihyo is so good is because she has that degree of control. Like, I think you've heard her go like soft and seductive. Like, she can go into a falsetto range where I think in like Hell and Heaven, like, she has that, and then she's got power pipes when she does like I Can't Stop Me. Very, very good. Like, Jihyo is just so good there. And the thing about Jihyo is that she emotes a lot. Like, like, you can hear the emotion in her voice, and I think that's something that she does better than a lot of other K-pop artists out there. Like, you hear her vocals in, for example, just a few songs that I can think of off the top of my head. BS1, Her vocals in Wishing are amazing. Like, I think, I can never go through Wishing without, coming close to tears, because the vocals in Wishing are so good. Like, Jihyo is amazing there. Momo's amazing there too. Headphone, of course, we've got that high part at the end. Yeah, I love her high note in Truth as well. Jihyo is just amazing, great parts. Jeongyeon, of course, has the pristine high notes in One in Million, for instance. Nayeon is the one that can just hit notes with ease. Like, I think Nayeon's one of the most versatile. Yeah, Jeongyeon has great lines in Like a Fool. I totally agree. Love Line as well. Really, really love it. So, yeah, Twice can sing. I mean, of course, they're not a vocally focused group like, say, Red Velvet or Mamamoo. I mean, again, it's harder to argue because Mamamoo and Red Velvet are smaller groups, and they're, of course, more focused on their vocals. The emphasis is there, and they're a lot more stable. I mean, if I were to pick a pure vocal group, I would pick any of those two, RV or Mamamoo. And Mamamoo, of course, won the vocal performance, and to me, that's well deserved. Like, I've seen Solar live, Moonbyul, Wee In, and Hwasa. I mean, all of them are so good. Like, so I mean, if you're a vocal group, I mean, of course, you can't compare. But the thing that makes Twice different and sets them apart is that Twice have, that X factor. They're not just the X factor, but they just have roles that they fit so well. Everyone has a place, and they just have something for everyone. I think that's just the longevity of Twice, because they just have someone for everyone. That there's a member for everyone. And I'm glad that there's some Mumus here. Mamamoo, yeah, I agree. They're vocal queens. I can't argue. Like, I've been listening to Moonbyul a lot, like Absence, and I think Eclipse that I listened to recently, like, just mind blown. Like, it's just so good. Like, so good. And Solar Live is just another story. I mean, she's insane pipes. Hwasa's vocals, of course, are well known. Wee In is also really good. Really good as well. Someone asked, what's my favorite Japanese song? Wishing. In the past, it used to be, I think, BS1. I liked Happy Happy a lot. I like Fanfare a lot. I like Better a lot. But I have to pick one, I'll pick Wishing. Because I think Wishing is... It's got that feel for me. Like I said, I can't explain it, but I think when I heard it at... I actually never heard Wishing until recently. I heard it when it was in Twice Lights in Japan. I think the Fukuoka or the Shizuoka leg. When I first heard it, I was like, what is this song? Like, the vocals, like, the Jihyo's part, Nayeon's part, Mina's chorus. Wow, it's a masterpiece. Like, I have to go with Wishing. Like, Stay By My Side is amazing too. Like, I love it. I love it also. Yeah, it's hard to find a favorite, but yeah, Wishing is my favorite. Moonbyul is amazing. I think if I had to pick a Mamamoo bias, it's Moonbyul, because her thick, deep voice is not something you see a lot or hear a lot in K-pop. And like, if I need to recommend a song, go listen to Absence. Absence is so good. Like, it's so good. Like, I was jamming along to it the other day. I love it. In fact, I mean, since you're on Mamamoo, I'm gonna play Absence as a good night song. I think we're coming to almost an hour. I said I would keep this short. I'm so sorry. So I'm gonna do Moonbyul's Absence for all of you, and with that, we will close this live stream. I hope you learned something new today, and I hope you have a good night. So this is Moonbyul's Absence. I love Say Yes too. Say Yes is amazing. The one with Punch, right? This is Moonbyul's Absence. And that was Moonbyul's Absence, one of my favorite songs by her. And with that, we will say goodbye for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. I know it's very late for a lot of you. As usual, I hope you enjoyed yourself, maybe learned something. And I know we all want the best for Twice. And of course, we will continue to pray for their health. For those who are affected by COVID and have been tested positive, like Chung Ha and like I think some of the managers and also a host of Mama, we're gonna continue to pray for their speedy recovery, that they can go back to doing what they love, and of course have mild symptoms and have a speedy recovery, a smooth recovery process. And obviously, of course, I don't know how the situation for COVID is like in your countries, but I hope you stay safe. Of course, wear your mask. Comply to all the rulings on safe distancing and mask wearing and gatherings and whatnot. Just take plenty of rest, take lots of fluids, watch over your health, because it's really the most important thing you can have. And in 2020, this is really one of the most important things that we realize sometimes we take for granted. So stay safe, stay healthy, get plenty of rest, and I hope you enjoyed tonight. Yeah. So I'll see you around on Twitter. I hope to interact with more of you on Twitter as well. Thanks for stopping by, and hope you have a good night of rest. All right. So take care. God bless, and good night. Annyeong.